In the dense heart of the Makuzi Valley, where the sun burned like molten gold by day and the drums called the ancestors by night, a small village lived beneath the gaze of the towering baobab trees. These ancient giants were more than trees. They were keepers of secrets, watchers of generations. In one of the modest mud and thatch huts lived Nia Kofi, a curious 9-year-old girl whose world revolved around her father, Baba Kofi. Baba Kofi was not only a father, but master woodcarver. His masks, carved from sacred mahogany and blessed with cowrie shells and the feathers of rare forest birds, were renowned across neighboring villages. Many believed his masks held spiritual power, able to chase away evil and invite the blessings of the ancestors. Baba Kofi was respected, he was kind, he was honest. And that made him dangerous. Because behind the friendly smiles and communal dances, something rotten festered beneath Makuzi's surface. The center of the village sat Chief Obasi, a man who smiled like a hyena, wide, toothy, and without warmth. Obasi ruled not through love but through fear. He was once a great warrior, but power had curdled his heart. Rumors whispered of villagers who vanished in the night, of rituals performed deep in the sacred forest, of sacrifices offered to shadowy beings that promised Obasi unending rule, but nobody dared speak aloud. To question Obasi was to invite death. One sweltering night, Nia was awakened by strange sounds, heavy footsteps, low murmurs, and the smell of burning herbs. She crept to the window, careful not to make a sound. What she saw froze her blood. Chief Obasi, flanked by 4 masked men, stood over her father, who was tied and gagged. Baba Kofi's eyes locked with Nia's for a fleeting second. He blinked, signaling her to stay hidden. The men dragged him away, vanishing into the jungle shadows. Nia tried to scream, but fear knotted her throat. She curled into a ball, trembling. At dawn, a village crier announced, "Baba Kofi is dead. He slipped into the river during last night's storm." But there had been no storm. Nia's grief turned into quiet defiance. That night, beneath the moon's silvery gaze, she sat beneath the old baobab tree. As the wind swirled, the ancient tree's massive trunk creaked and groaned. "He is not gone, child," the wind seemed to whisper. "He is beneath you." Days turned into weeks. Life in the village returned to its uneasy rhythm. But for Nia, every moment was consumed by suspicion. She refused to mourn a father she knew wasn't dead. The villagers pitied her, or pretended to. "Poor girl," they whispered, mad with grief. Only one person took her seriously, Grandmother Asha, the village's oldest healer. She was rumored to have been born under 3 eclipses, a sign of great spiritual connection. Some feared her. Others revered her. One day, while mixing herbs near the river, Grandmother Asha beckoned Nia. "You see beyond the eyes, child?" she said in a voice like rustling leaves. "The baobab has spoken to you." Nia nodded, tears glistening in her dark eyes. "They say I'm crazy. The world fears what it cannot explain. Listen well. The ancestors only speak to those with pure hearts. But what they reveal is often dangerous. You must be brave." That night, the village celebrated the annual Festival of Masks, where dancers in elaborate wooden masks channeled ancestral spirits. Under the loud drumming, Nia noticed something unusual. The sacred mask of Guy, the protector, carved by her father, was missing. In its place was a grotesque, unfamiliar mask with jagged teeth and hollow eyes. Suddenly, a hidden drumbeat emerged beneath the surface rhythm, a secret pulse. Nia's ears tuned into it instinctively. It led her away from the festival grounds and into the sacred forest where few dared to walk after dark. Following the rhythm, she reached a small clearing illuminated by glowing fireflies. There, hidden under thick brush, lay an old wooden platform, floorboards arranged in a perfect square. Smoke rose from its edges, and strange symbols were drawn into the dirt. Nia hid behind a tree as Chief Obasi and his masked men gathered around the platform, chanting, "Spirits of the underworld, we offer this flesh for power unending." Her father's voice then echoed faintly from below the floorboards. "Weak but alive, help, Maya, I'm here." Tears streamed down her face, but she clenched her fists. She had seen enough. The baobab's voice returned in the wind. The floorboards hide the wickedness. Bring justice, child. The next morning, Nia stood before the entire village. Her voice quivered, but she shouted, "My father is not dead. He is under the floorboards in the sacred forest. They lied to you." The villagers gasped. Children clutched their mothers. Elders exchanged uneasy glances. Chief Abasi stormed forward, his tone dangerously calm. "The girl is disturbed. She dreams wild things." But among the gathered crowd was a new face. Detective Langa, a government officer sent to investigate the multiple disappearances that had been reported in neighboring districts. Detective Langa stepped forward. "Enough. If the girl claims there's something hidden, we shall see for ourselves." "If you object, Chief, you only arouse my suspicion." "Chief." Obasi's mask of calm cracked momentarily. "Very well," he sneered. "Let the truth be shown." With soldiers, police officers, and curious villagers in tow, Nia led them deep into the forest to the hidden clearing. The floorboards were still there, undisturbed. Detective Langa ordered his men to pry them open. As the boards were removed one by one, the horrific truth was revealed. Beneath the platform was a pit 10 feet deep. The walls were lined with bones, some fresh, some ancient. And in one corner, emaciated and barely breathing, was Baba Kofi. The villagers screamed in horror. Women wept. Men cursed. Obasi tried to flee, but Langa's officers tackled him to the ground. As Baba Kofi was lifted out, he whispered, "Nia, my brave child." Detective Langa turned to the villagers. "This man has committed atrocities. He has made sacrifices not to your ancestors, but to demons of his own making." The villagers, long shackled by fear, suddenly found their voices. Stones were thrown at Obasi as he was dragged away in chains, but the air in the forest remained heavy. The wind whispered once more through the baobabs. "Our bones are known, but our spirits remain restless." The village entered a time of reckoning. Baba Kofi, though frail, began to recover. He told the full story, how he discovered Obesi's cult, how he tried to expose them, and how he was imprisoned and tortured beneath the cursed platform. Many villagers who had silently known Obesi's evil but were too afraid to act now wept in shame. Grandmother Usha declared, "The forest is angry. The spirits of the sacrificed cannot rest without proper rites." A great cleansing was prepared. The ancestral drums beat louder than ever. Elders sang ancient songs that had not been heard in generations. Special masks were carved by Baba Kofi himself, infused with powerful herbs and blessed with sacred chants. On the night of the cleansing, a storm gathered, but it was not rain that fell. It was a windstorm swirling with fireflies. Carrying the faint shadows of the slain, the villagers gathered under the baobab. As Baba Kofi placed each mask upon the fresh graves, the winds calmed, and the shadows vanished into the stars. The forest grew silent. But the peace did not last long. At midnight, Nia woke to distant chanting from the forest. She peeked out and saw a small group of villagers, former loyalists of Obasi, trying to reawaken the dark ritual. They were interrupted by an even greater force, the spirits of the ancestors. Themselves, ghostly forms appeared, faces glowing like moonlight, their voices like rolling thunder. "Enough. This land belongs to the living who honor the dead. You shall not awaken evil again." The loyalists fled in terror, never to return. From that night onward, no one dared conduct dark rituals again. Months passed. Makuzi flourished. New leaders rose, humble, wise, and respectful of the old ways. Baba Kofi, though marked forever by his ordeal, resumed his craft. His masks became symbols of hope rather than fear. Tourists came from afar to witness Makuzi's rebirth. Nia grew into a young woman known across the region as the Daughter of Courage. She trained under Grandmother Usha, learning the sacred arts of healing, listening to the winds and reading the whispers of the baobab. But one evening, as the sunset bled into the river and the stars blinked awake, Nia sat beneath her favorite. Baoba. The wind carried one final whisper. "Evil is like the roots beneath us, child. Cut one and others grow unseen. Be vigilant." She closed her eyes, breathing deeply. "I understand," she whispered back. Her father approached and sat beside her. "Do you still hear them, Nia?" He asked gently. "Yes, Baba, but I am no longer afraid." And together, under the ancient tree, they listened to the silent song of peace. For now, the baobab stood tall, its branches wide, its secrets safe.